agenda had already been set, and we had, we met afterwards. But those items will include the board's vote on transcribing board meetings, and you have been provided the transcription costs and information. Everyone should have received that. Please take an opportunity to review that.
That was in the envelope?
Yes. Also, we will be presenting amendments to the school calendar report to consider granting Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha as holidays and consideration of a heat closure policy. So the June 14th meeting will be full of items for board vote consideration. With respect to the transcription of the board meetings, if you have any questions about this document, let us know, but this is all the information that PRC has, so we just provided you what we have. Based on whatever decisions, I do need to make it clear that based on whatever decisions the board makes on the addition of the Muslim holidays and the probability of closing schools due to heat, adjustments will need to be made to the 2016 and 2017 calendar to ensure the required number of school days and high school hours. PRC made, I think, the right decision to send the calendar revision back to the calendar committee before PRC chose to vote on how that whole thing would be amended. But you will get that information, and you will have to, as a board, you will have to make a tough decision because, there are only so many hours in a day. But be that as it may, the PRC has done and will continue to do its work. Now, I do have one last thing. It's not that I was opposed to a budget committee, but I need to explain to this board that PRC cannot address the budget matter at its next two meetings. We are full in terms of trying to bring closure to these several items that we have to prepare. Our agenda has already been set and prepared, so that item will not be discussed at our next two meetings. And because of that, to me, it's just not realistic for this calendar year to deal with that issue. Secondly, while I'm not opposed to that committee being voluntary, this board needs to understand that committee would be operating differently or structured differently from how all the other committees are structured. And the board has to think about whether or not you want to deviate on how you establish one committee versus another committee. So I just raised those as observations. PRC will address, as you all have directed us, but I'm letting it be known publicly that PRC has a full agenda for the next two meetings.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, on the curriculum committee, do you have any comments tonight?
I do. So this is my first committee report, so I apologize. It's a bit longer. In accordance with the board policies, the curriculum committee reviews and approves curriculum, instructional materials, and course additions and deletions as part of our normal business. But earlier this year, as a committee, we asked for additional topics to be added to the agenda. Those topics included regular updates on STAT and the passport initiatives. The committee also asked for information related to ESOL, career and technology education, grading and reporting, magnet school updates, digital safety efforts, content updates, and ensuring equity in the curriculum development process for all learners. To that end, ESOL. The committee received a report in December on the ESOL program and ESOL centers. We recommended that due to the growing number of students requiring ESOL services in this county, serious consideration be given to funding additional staffing and program for ESOL. As you can see in the FY17 budget, it reflects those considerations. CTE. The committee received a report on the Career and Technology Program in Baltimore County, and we are pleased to announce or to share that the 10 career pathway options are available to students, but we've been advised by staff members that they're working on updating the CTE plan to provide even greater access for students throughout the entire system. Grading and reporting. The committee received updates on grading and reporting in November and in February on proposed changes to current grading policies and practices in accordance with Board Policy 5210. The policy 5210 is scheduled for implementation beginning July 1st, 2016. And to that end, the curriculum committee asked staff to consider ways in which to solicit feedbacks from parents, students, teachers, administrators, and stakeholders. During the February meeting, staff reported that feedback has been received from stakeholders, and that based on the superintendent's direction and the suggestions from our committee, that grading and reporting website has been delivered and enabled to gather further questions from stakeholders prior to its implementation. The Magnet Program. The committee received reports on the Magnet School Assistance Program, the MSAP grant, to enhance current magnet options and programs in October, and we received it again in February. We were advised that additional information is forthcoming. Digital safety. The curriculum committee has added this topic as a standing item on its agenda. The committee has received updated information from staff on data privacy, digital citizenship, and was pleased to hear about the launch of the Growing Up Digital website. Over the next 2 months, the curriculum committee will also receive updates on curriculum content, curriculum development processes, strategies for working with students with special needs, such as those students with dyslexia. Finally, the committee also has been monitoring the progress of Passport and STAT initiatives. Both reports are available to the full board now online. The mid-year Passport evaluation was completed by the Center of Applied Linguistics. Cal reported that the model BCPS has implemented for second language acquisition could serve as a model for other school systems. They also highlighted improving in developmental checkpoints for students to ensure learning and understanding. However, they did recommend students increasing the time for students to interact with Spanish instruction, and as a result, staff reported the additional time to be built in to the implementation plan. And as for STAT, Johns Hopkins Center for Research and Reform in Education concluded that positive changes have been made for classroom environments and teacher behavior. JHU also recommended clearly defining the role of the STAT teacher to keep the intention of the position purely related to staff development, as teachers have reported great value in having jobs embedded for professional learning. So as you can see, the committee has been very busy this year, and I'd like to thank my fellow committee members, Mr. McDaniels, our co-chair, Mr. Gillis, Ms. Eaton, and Ms. Wallier. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gillis, I don't know if you have anything to add on
Contract. So the nuts and bolts of the operation of the Baltimore County Public Schools passes through our committee, whether it's building schools or financing buses, and we meet in advance of every meeting, and Mr. Saris and Mr. Dixit do a great job of delivering information to us, responsive to questions we have, and you all see every month or twice a month that we have lots of contracts to vote on, approve, and discuss.
Anything on audit, Mr. Yockel?
Yes, just that the audit committee is very active. Our internal audit group is also very active. In fact, they create a flexible work plan that is flexible because since we instituted a third-party hotline about 4 years ago, the number of calls and references coming through the hotline has increased measurably every year, and therefore they have to react and investigate anything that's reported. So the plan work, their work schedule is sometimes
At this time.
Would you mind coming back to me last, actually?
I certainly can.
I'm sorry.
We can start. Mr. Birch, you ready? You have anything you would want to add tonight?
Mr. Stewart, I hope things are going well. The Stewart household, and we had an addition. We had quite a meeting tonight. We have more ahead. The public's input is always welcome. We're going to get a handle on these buses. Is it a setting sun or is it a rising sun? I think it's a rising sun. We have a lot of future ahead of us. We have a lot of good work, good hard work to do. I think we've got a good board here, and we've got more to do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Miller?
Yes, thank you. I want to congratulate Dr. Dance on his contract. I think it's interesting to note that After 2018, it will be only he and me still on the board here. So I'm looking forward to the next 4 years. Yeah, right, I didn't take that into account. The latest update of the STAT project from Johns Hopkins University has come out, and I believe that's available on the website. And I am looking forward to getting involved in the Safety and Tech Committee. That's a very important topic for me and many stakeholders.
So this week I was able to attend the CTE Awards at CQ Arena in Towson. And it was enlightening and inspiring to see students throughout the county win these awards. What I found most enlightening is that while many of the students are going to pursue careers in or a degree in what they've already studied in high school, some of them actually won't. And so they just save themselves, the government, their parents, their grandparents a good amount of money. Because now they won't spend the next 2 years trying to figure out what they don't want to do when they grow up. So that wouldn't have been discovered without Baltimore County Public Schools. Additionally, I attended the TABCO Retiree Awards Dinner, and Abby was beautiful and gracious as always, and I want to thank our teachers throughout the county who are retiring and moving on to something else, because I do believe once you're an educator, it's always in your heart. I am thankful to and have enjoyed seeing so much of my fellow board members, but also let's remember, each of us only have one voice and one vote. We are a stronger board when we are a productive board, and weaker and less effective when so severely divided. It's one thing to have differing opinions and collaborative conversations and cynical discourse and heated debates for the betterment of our school system. And I can look around and see that most of us have the children's best interest at heart, and the decisions that we make are rooted in leaving a positive legacy here in Baltimore County and leaving the students and the families of Baltimore County better than when our term started. For instance, Chuck has shared with the board that he wants qualitative and measurable data to be presented by the school system. He doesn't want fluff. Kathleen wants equitable air for the entire county and comfortable classrooms for all of our babies. Deeksha wants all the students to have a voice and to become change agents in the county. So when one or two or the majority of the board speaks negatively about its leadership, the superintendent, the staff, the teachers, and administration within this county, it weakens the progress that we make as a board and destroys the confidence that our children and their parents have trusted us with. We all have the right to create our little blogs or our Facebook posts and chat rooms, to hold community meetings, public forums, to write and distribute many emails, or to simply have your own opinion and share those with your family, friends, and constituents. But when lies, confidentiality breaches, harassment, hate, revenge, and rumors are at the root of all of your intentions with the members of the public, soon-to-be graduates of class of 2012, community and religious leaders, parents-to-be, fellow board members, support staff, students, teachers, stakeholders, and retirees, at what point do you ask yourself, are you a productive member of this board? Where are you placing your energy, and are you detracting from the matters that really matter? Lastly, I'd like to thank our teachers. I hope you all had a great Teacher Appreciation Week, and maybe one day we'll have a society where we don't actually have to have a week or a day that appreciates you, and we appreciate you every day, all year long. Thank you.
Marisol forgot to tell you that I want to go home. Good night.
I just want to say, I'm glad that we can work together as a team, but we need to make sure that we keep our own personal agendas and adversities aside and focus on our students. Because they're our first focus and they're our first priority. And we need to make sure that just a reminder that we work for them and make sure that whatever we do is for them and not for our own personal gain or our personal agendas that we're trying to fulfill sitting on school. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to make a couple comments that I really wanted to make when the press was here relative to Dr. Vance. In my opinion, this school system has moved ahead dramatically since I was on the board 7 years ago. I think a lot of board members fail to understand that one single item that runs the system is money. And if you compare this system today and the money that we receive to carry out our function, to compare what it was in the previous administration, you'll understand the value of Dr. Davis. He has received from our elected officials full support, and support not only in programs, but in money. And this system would not operate with any efficiency. We would not be moving ahead without having the funds to do it. And if you think back over tonight's meeting, and think in terms of what his responsibilities are, we talked about transportation, we talked about union contracts, we talked about virtually all the things that the reason that we pay the man what he's entitled to is because he's assumed the responsibilities and he's really carried them out well. And you just can't rely on test scores or graduation rates to evaluate. Look at the body of work for the entire system. Sorry the press left us.
As usual, I have more to say, but I will keep it brief because of the late hour. I am thankful to Chuck for moving the Safety and Technology Committee embedding forward. I do have to say I am disappointed I was not selected to participate. Though I have a degree in Management Information Systems, and I have actually sold computers and technology to education systems back in my first career. But I'm hopeful that Ann Miller and Ed Gillis, as an attorney, his skills will be very important, because a lot of what's at stake with data privacy is making sure that vendors with whom we operate are abiding by agreements, making sure those agreements are strong enough, clear enough, in order to be able to protect our students. So I look forward to hearing from Ann and Ed on the information that they received there. Also, I would encourage anyone in the community to reach out to Ann or Ed with questions or comments, I hope you don't mind, that they can bring to that committee, to the staff. Also, thank you, Marisol, for the shout out about the air conditioning. That is something that has been near and dear to my heart. So I would like to make just a comment about that. The board had voted to add $10 million to our operating budget in order to expedite air conditioning to the 30,000 students that were without air conditioning at the start of this school year. The county executive cut that $10 million line item from the board operating budget. I will have to say, however, he did propose in his, where he presents his operating budget and his capital budget at the same time, additional capital funding to accelerate the central air conditioning for those schools that do not have it. So whereas we started this year and I was hearing things where 2 high schools were not even on the list, and that the latest date for schools to be centrally air conditioned was 2022, with again, some schools not even on the list. It does please me that, and the county at large, that currently on what was proposed, the latest date would be December of 2019, with every school being air conditioned. And I want to thank and encourage the stakeholders that continue to raise their voice with the concerns for their students and for their teachers, that have really brought this situation to the forefront, where everyone is really now getting focused on it. I also want to thank the many elected officials who have been supportive in trying to find solutions to this. I would especially like to thank Secretary Nancy Kopp, Comptroller Fran Scho, Governor Hogan on the Board of Public Works, also Dr. David Weaver, the Interagency Committee on School Construction, for his work in this effort. And also, meanwhile, that we're looking to get the central air conditioning done, we're also looking to do renovations and so forth. I did want to take a moment to thank Kevin Smith and his team again. Found out through Facebook that Lansdowne High School did get their fresh water coolers going through the schools, so we appreciate that work, because it is going to be important to make sure that children can be hydrated in these schools that have the older water systems. Did I just get cut off? That's my 3 minutes. Okay. Really? I'm talking really fast. So in any case, The other thing about the air conditioning that we found out about PRC is that if we go over our master agreement 191 days, because we're losing days and we have to close schools and so forth, it's going to cost the system $2.8 million a day to pay our teachers. If through these closings and so forth of trying to keep our kids safe. So there is a significant problem if we don't get this solved in a timely basis. So just appreciate everyone's work on that. Also attended those wonderful events, TABCO, Teacher Retirement Dinner, the CTE Awards, and other things for Teacher Appreciation Week. So again, just a shout out to the teachers. We appreciate everything that everyone is doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Ms. Williams?
I want to thank the press for staying with us. She's often with us, and we thank you for your presence. I do want to also echo and thank Marisol and Deetra for their comments about our board. But I want to say tonight that I'm proud of this board tonight. I think that this board demonstrated a lot of strength and grace, and I think we're moving in the right direction, and I'm really proud of all of my fellow board members. I also want to thank the public for their presence and participation. We need you, we value you, and we welcome you. We are happy that we were able to participate in the Community Association breakfast for those of you who were able to be there, and also at the Chambers Award recognizing our teachers. And I salute all of our teachers. I love teachers. Without teachers, I would not be where I am today. So thank you.
Since Mr. Gillis took my line, I'm going to give Nick my time.
All right, so I normally don't offer much by way of comments, but I want to build on a few things people said tonight. I've been thinking a lot about the sense of urgency that we need for the big things that we can and should do on behalf of our kids. We heard them tonight. Pushing forward on major transportation overhauls, supporting our terrific team who is here, maybe even talking about school start times, pushing forward on major infrastructure projects, pushing forward on building out performance metrics and a performance management system, pushing forward on expanding access to CTE and college career readiness programs. You know, we have big things ahead. So I'll just say that I think it does hurt us when we get lost in the smaller and frankly pettier things. For me at least, it's not just about obstruction, it's about things we can get done affirmatively together with our teachers, our principals, our staff, and our administration. So my comment's not really practical, but it is aspirational. Those are my comments for tonight, and it's something that I'm going to refocus on myself at least.
Thank you to all our board members for your comments. I just have some informational items to cover this evening in your packets and on board docs. There's some